And good evening, everyone. Hello, it is Paula Damico here, the president of the Buffalo Niagara chapter of NAWBO. So happy that you can join us for our Monday member spotlight. And today I'd like to introduce you to Janelle Kurtzman. Janelle Kurtzman is joining us today. And Janelle has been a member of NAWBO for quite a bit of time. And we're so happy that about how long, Janelle?
4 years, 5 years. 4 years?
4 or 5 years.
I don't remember.
Because it's been so wonderful for all those 4 or 5 years, right? And how things have changed over the years. And Janelle is the owner and creator of Janelle Kurtzman Interiors, right? Correct? Am I correct in that?
You got it. Yep.
And so let's just dive right into it and talk a little bit. The idea, my friends that are joining us, ladies and gentlemen that are joining, is that we're putting the spotlight on some of our local ladies here, our local NAWBO sisters that are members. Of course, if you're a member, you're a business owner. And Janelle has had her business for how long, Janelle? How long have you been in business?
1986.
Wow. 1986.
That's like 30 some years. Yeah. 35 years. Yeah. Long time.
So, Janelle knows what she's doing because she's been designing for quite a bit now. And have you always been here in Western New York?
Nope. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And my first 2 years I was at the Cleveland Institute of Art and I was a fine art major. Then I transferred to RIT in Rochester where I met my husband, Alan. And in 1982, I got married and moved to Buffalo.
And hello, you've been here ever since, creating amazing designs inside people's homes and their businesses.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've done, I started out doing all commercial work actually in Cleveland, and then here when I came, and a lot of office buildings. Then I got into some high-end residential and I went on my own, and now I'm doing a combination of residential as well as commercial work. My biggest job ever was the Niagara Produce on Millersport, and I'm excited to say that we're starting a new location out in Elma just this month. So that's going to be another fun job. And I've done office buildings, condominium complex, athletic clubs, as well as homes. I've worked with people in additions, in remodeling, from the ground floor up to just simple one-time consultations, see what they can do to spruce up their business or their home. So it's quite diverse.
So it sounds like it. And what was your original inspiration? Why did you decide to get into this line of work, and what inspired you? What was your inspiration to say, you know what, I'm going to start my own business?
Well, I decided I've always been a fine artist. I love art, design, drawing, whatever. I decided I wanted to get out of the 5-year program, and I didn't want to just be a starving artist back in the 80s, and sell my paintings and whatever. So I decided I wanted to bring all those elements into interiors because I loved interiors. So, which is why I ended up at RIT in the interior design department there. And what inspired me is the fact that it was a combination of being able to be creative as well as earning a living. And I had several people ask me to do some work for them. And my husband was very supportive of starting my own business. So in 1986, I did. And it was great because I worked for several years on my, before I had the kids. Then I had 2 kids and I was able to work during that time also. And now they're out of the house and grown up and I'm still working. So it gave me a lot of diverse time.
That's wonderful.
In my own business.
And that's the beauty of owning your own business, right? So you can kind of make your own schedule, create your own schedule, barring you're working around your clients, of course. But you are able to make that time for your family, for your spouse, for your career that we all become so passionate about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You also have to learn to be self-disciplined. You have to be able to make sure that even though you work on your own, you have to account to yourself. But I do have a support staff too that I call in on big jobs, people that will do other work for me. So that's always a help.
So let's talk about that being self-disciplined. And, I think there's a lot of us out there that, the pandemic actually kind of forced us to be a little bit more self-disciplined because we were not packing up and going to the office. We are, and a lot of us still are working from home. And so to make sure that you literally get the job done, get your work done, stay in business, you have to get yourself on a schedule. You have to create a schedule.
Yeah.
So how does that work for you? How do you formulate your daily schedule? What did you say to yourself one time? Well, I just got to lay it out here, or did someone give you a suggestion, or
I wish I could say after 35 years I was an expert at that, but I'm still not. I've gotten better. I try to prioritize and plan my day ahead, plan my week ahead. I've learned to plan my days the week prior so that I know what's happening, not just. And I've also learned to tell people they may have to wait. I used to always say, I'll be there right away. I'll do it right away. But I've learned not to schedule, and that's really important. And what surprises me all the time is when I ask people, do you mind waiting? My next opening is going to be in 2-3 weeks to come and meet you. They're like, great, I'll be happy to wait. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I get all excited, wow, they're going to wait. That's cool. So they must really want to talk to me. So yeah.
What kind of clients do you have? And of course, we don't need any names, but what are the typical clients, and what are the services that you offer? Because maybe some of our ladies and gentlemen out there that are watching don't really know what services you do offer.
Residential wise, I offer to my clients, well, this could apply to your business as well. If you're building a new house or an addition from the ground floor up in the planning stages, it's never too early to call an interior designer in like myself, because it's much more cost effective to plan ahead. Also, anyone that's looking to renovate an existing area, even if you're an empty nester, you might want to convert that spare bedroom into a guest room. Or you might not, and right now, obviously, home offices, everybody's trying to get a space. I think residential design is going to lend itself to a lot more diverse spaces in houses and in businesses, where you can have a room maybe function as your child's at-home school room, but then you can close the door and it will be a nap time for somebody else. So, or like a gym might convert from a gym to an office, where you have your gym space. So I think the open plan is kind of on its way out. So I think people are looking to upgrade their spaces.
That's interesting.
Code consultations, help with furniture design, window treatments. Every client is individual, and we get very personal with my clients, because you have to tell me what your budget is. You have to tell me, how much time you have to spend doing it, what your lifestyle is. Do you have pets? Do you have kids? Do you like to entertain a lot? When we entertain sometime in the future, again, we will entertain. How big do you want your kitchen to be? Do you want to have a bar area? We get very personal, our clients. And they have to trust me, and they have to trust that I'm going to design their space so that they will be happy in living there. I always tell my clients, you have to come downstairs, you have to walk into your kitchen every day. I don't have to. So even though if I like stainless steel and white, but you want wood, then let's talk about it. I'm a guide. I'm a guide, and I make sure that what they do is in proportion, make sure that it's professional looking, make sure that it flows well together, make sure that it's functional.
And that could be, would you say that you've had a little bit of a challenge over the past 11 months with, what you're saying is you're making a real personal connection with your clients.
Right.
You're seeing their space. You're talking to them, finding out how they want to transform that space, whether it's a huge makeover or if it's just a subtle makeover. Because, and we'll get to it a little bit later on. Something that we were talking about at a meeting not too long ago that the ladies went wild for. We'll talk. So that's a tip, my friend. So just hold on a second. We'll get to that in a pinch. But now it's a little different because you're not going into people's homes as much. You may be a little bit now with masks on and whatnot, but
we are.
But for months you weren't, and you weren't going into people's homes. So how did that work? How did you work around that?
Well, I'll tell you, it was a challenge for me because I'm not a real technical person. So I'm always hands-on. I like to bring everything with me to my clients. I bring the fabric swatches, I bring the flooring, I bring the tile, I bring the countertop sample. So all of a sudden, when we all were shut down, like total shutdown, because I was not essential at that point, definitely not, I had to turn and I had a quick learning session on PowerPoint. I was really lucky. My son was in town quarantining with us, and we sat down one day and I ended up doing PowerPoint presentations with my clients, and at least that got them started in the process. So for me, it was a real learning experience with technology. But clients were very receptive in sending out the PowerPoints. We create a lot of mood boards, and if you're not sure, anybody out there doesn't know what a mood board is, it's creating a feeling for the room by representing, showing the clients different pictures and getting them to react to those. So, and it was great because in my industry, our sales reps and our showrooms were very supportive. They would send samples not only to my client, but they would duplicate and send them to me. So we would get packages together, and then we could open them and look at them and say, like, okay, that's your carpet, that's your wood floor, and we could talk about it that way. But it was a technological enlightenment for me.
So let's talk about those mood boards. Now that just sparked my curiosity because vision boards, I could tell you about, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there too that know about vision boards, but mood boards. So how does that work?
I guess it's kind of like a vision board. I was doing a chiropractic office. We had just started talking before the shutdown. So she got in touch with me and she said, can we move forward? Can you send me anything? And I go, you know what? I'm going to work on this. Let me see what I can send you. So she wanted it to be a very homey nature. She wanted it to have like water, feeling, whatever. So I looked for some pictures that represented beaches, palm trees, plants, and I created a mood board. And then I picked out upholstery fabrics that would represent those colors and that color scheme. We picked out flooring that was luxury vinyl tile, a plank wood floor that it represented nature. So the mood boards actually reflected themselves in the products that I chose.
I get it.
Well, you had said the other board, the other board, Paula.
Oh, vision board?
Vision board, yeah. But it's a mood board. It's creating a mood for your room. Just if I were going in person with a client, I would say, well, what do you envision this room to look like? Like, how do you want to feel when you're sitting in this room? Or if it's your office, like, are you interviewing people or meeting with clients? Are you formal? Is it informal? Like, does it have to be private, semi-private? So
it's like taking your client's taking their temperature. Like, how are they? Right? So what colors, make them feel more relaxed, or they want their customers or clients to feel more relaxed, or how do they feel that they would be, what environment would help make them be more productive, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So we've talked about you're doing some major makeovers here, but then here's the answer to that tease, my friends. So there are times when you don't do major makeovers and you do something that's on a little bit of a lower scale. And what do you call that, Janelle?
Hey, we're all familiar with the term facelift, but in my industry, my special thing is I do a space lift. So let's parallel that to your face and your space. So everybody wants to get rid of wrinkles, look newer, look more up to date, look more vibrant, inviting, whatever. So your space can have a lift also. So a space lift is actually going into someone's house, or it can be their business too, and maybe spending several hours, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever, depending on how big of a space lift they want to do. But a lot of times it just entails changing their artwork around, getting rid of pillows that have been there for years, changing up the colors. So many times I go into somebody's home, they've been looking at their furniture in that same position forever, and they don't even see it the way it looks. I see it in a different light. Let's change the piano. Let's move the couch on the other wall. Maybe change the coffee table around, different angle. And it's not necessarily getting rid of everything you own and starting over. It's actually taking what you have and looking at it in a new light, a new perspective. It's giving yourself a facelift, just as if you went to your esthetician and said, I need a facelift. They do a little bit of time, they spend a little time, and you come out hopefully glowing and looking new. And hopefully after I get finished with your space, it'll be looking new and updated to you. It's a fun way to go. It really is. And I've been doing it for quite a while, and I kind of forgot about the term till I told Paula the other night we were talking. I'm like, wow, I got to bring that back up again.
Oh my God, I think it's amazing.
Colors, paint. Paint is the quickest facelift you can give anybody. But a lot of times, a client won't know, what color they need. So I have a little library, or I should say a bigger library of Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore, and I take my little luggage case with me, and we look at colors more than just the fan deck. So yeah, it's interesting.
It's amazing what a second set of eyeballs can provide, because
people just look and stare at the same thing every day. They don't even see it the way it looks.
So this is the time of year when I would think that you would have a lot of people reaching out to you, because it's New Year. There's been a lot of, oh, thank goodness it's 2021. Woo, 2020 is behind us. And a lot of people want a fresh start, whether it's their business or their home. So a fresh start a lot of times means fresh look. So do you see an uptick in business maybe around this time of year by any chance?
I think when you take the decorations down and everything, people are looking and saying, yeah, I think I might have to reevaluate, what we're doing here. And I think also with the COVID, people are spending so much more time in their homes that they're noticing things more. In general, in the past, I'd say there's not really any season. Of course, I take that back. There's that mad rush in the fall when people are realizing, when we still entertain for Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever, that they wanted to get it done. So usually the deadline for that is around October.
Oh,
if they want to
right.
Holidays.
Have you had any last minute callers? Anybody? Janelle, I have my family coming over next week, and I just need a little help with my house. Do you ever get those last minute calls, emergency calls?
Not really, but I could probably help somebody. Just go over there and help them set up for something, or yeah.
There would be a space lift emergency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would. Yes,
space
that would definitely.
9/11. So let's talk about, because we are here with NAWBO, and we're part of the National Association of Women Business Owners, and
right.
You have been a woman business owner for a very long time. And we all have stories where we share stories of ups and downs and victories. And what do you think over your time of being a businesswoman, like maybe one of your biggest memory of a positive note, or you considered like a personal victory for yourself as a woman in business?
A personal victory. Well, I think one thing that I think that this is kind of an interesting fact. When I started out in 1986, I don't know if you remember back then, but if you worked from home, first of all, my industry, interior designer, often was associated at that point with the interior decorator, which was basically like, Susie Joe down the street who decided she was going to have a career.
Hmm.
So my biggest challenge when I first started was proving my professionalism, that it was really my job. And I was going in as a designer, trained. We had to learn all this. We have to take continuing education and all that stuff. It's not just Susie down the road that decided she was good with, upholstery and color. So my biggest challenge through the years was proving back then that I was a professional. And working from home was kind of taboo back then. I mean, I tried not to tell people my business was at my home. I would always meet them out
Really?
there. Well, yeah, especially in being in the interior design industry. In fact, people would tell me, you can't even have your address. You need to have a PO box and all that.
Ooh.
You don't want people to know that you're working, from your house. That's like not professional. And so like turn it around 2020, 21 now, man, working from home is where it's at. People love working from home. So it's like what a difference in all those years, the way things have been acknowledged in my industry. But I think
Sure.
my biggest excitement was when I got called to do like some jobs I didn't expect to do. For example, when my florist several years ago called me and said, hey, my friend who's opening a funeral home, building a new funeral home, needs a designer. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm like, oh my God. I go, Elaine, I've never designed a funeral home. I don't know anything about it. At that point, I was lucky enough. I had never even gone to a funeral. I mean, like I was early in my days of careers, and I said, I don't know. And she goes, you can do it. Go and interview with him. And I did. And I got hired by David Slowinski of Slowinski Funeral Homes, and I did the funeral home. So it was, kind of crazy, but I was really excited because I took a challenge that I've never done and it worked. So
that's amazing. And talking about when you said when you started out, I think every woman who's listening can relate to what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had to prove yourself that you were qualified enough to do what you're doing. And I think we come across that hurdle in many different professions and many different businesses, that we have to prove. We've already proven to ourselves that we can do it, but it's making sure others realize, that we're no joke. You actually have to know your stuff. You actually have to have some training. You actually have to have a hefty education to back up what you say you can do.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm. So you said you've been a part of NAWBO for about 5-6 years now, and I think I've been a member just about the same. And I always ask our guests to share maybe a story, or maybe a reason why what drew you to NAWBO, and for you that has been with us for several years, why do you stay?
Well, first I'll start with kind of a crazy story that happened to me before I even joined NAWBO. I went as a guest when NAWBO was still at the Westwood. So don't ask me what year. When was that? I don't know. I have no idea.
That was a few years ago, but I remember that.
Several years ago. So I went as somebody asked me to come as a guest. I don't even remember who at that point. And I didn't know anything about networking this with a round table where you went from table to table. Anyhow, I was at a table and we were all introducing ourselves. And Sue Ellen Elvers from Ingersoll Painting introduced herself. And I looked over at her and I went, oh my God, you're Sue Ellen. Because being in the painting and contracting industry, Jeff Ingersoll, who was the owner prior to Sue Ellen, I had worked with Jeff for years. I mean, years and years. And I always talked to Sue Ellen on the phone as the, project manager. And I had never met her. And all of a sudden, like, here we are face to face at a NAWBO event. And she's like, oh my God, you're Janelle. And I go, yeah. And she goes, I'm Sue Ellen. I'm like, oh, wow. So it was kind of like interesting to meet. And she had just bought the company. She, as a woman business owner, she bought it. Jeff, the owner, had retired, but I had talked to her for years, and all of a sudden she was sitting across from me at the table. And to this day, we're doing jobs together. I have clients with her all the time. So that was just kind of an interesting thing that happened with NAWBO. I'd been, you just meet up with people that you don't realize how it's going to make the connection. And then as far as that, I think just for me, the biggest benefit is connecting with people out of the box that I wouldn't normally connect with. Actually, Marsha Brogan from Marsha Brogan Insurance is the one that invited me to join. And I was a little reluctant because, frankly, I am where I am in my business. And I was like, really? I don't know if I feel like doing any more networking and blah, blah, blah. So I stepped out of the box. And I did it, and it's been great because I've been introduced to so many people in different industries, and especially ones that I wouldn't expect to find, like, Papercraft Miracles. She and I have worked together on a couple of things, and, I wouldn't have found these people if I hadn't belonged and reached out a little bit. So it's great support, finding support in your own business, and also, hopefully, in return, they support us, so.
Amazing connections are born simply by just walking in the door and,
right. It's like
and introducing yourself, right? It's just and such beautiful friendships. And you talk about a sisterhood. We always talk about it being a sisterhood, and it really is, because I can't wait for the day when we finally meet again in person. Right. And we're all in the same room. Oh my gosh, it'll be really hard to get us all to quiet down. Because we'll all be talking so much, we'll be so famished, as far as like connecting with each other. Right. We're always talking anyway. So, Janelle, if you would, we've got just a couple more minutes or so. I would like you to once again say the name of your business and how people can reach out to you, and quickly what some services that you provide for your customers.
Okay, it's Janelle Kurtzman Interiors, and the best way to reach me is through my email, which is janellekurtzmaninteriors@gmail.com. And I offer services from consultations, simply one-time consultations, to complete project turnover, from the planning stages to the turnkey installation, and follow up to make sure everything is done correctly. Includes A to Z, basically.
Including the space lift.
Space lift. If you need a space lift, give me a call.
So before we close it out, if you could give one tip to some of those that are watching tonight, one tip to maybe something simple that, now you mentioned painting a room is an easy way to give a space lift. What would one other, because we don't want you to give away all your tips. We want people to call you and have you come over and give your, that second set of eyeballs. What would be another tip that you would suggest for people?
Just change around your accessories. Take a look at what you got. Just move them around. And also take some items that you have that you may use as a functional piece. For example, I took a marble cheese board that I had, and I needed something to put my candles on at Christmas, so I used my marble cheese board. I mean, I wasn't having anybody at my house to eat cheese because we didn't have any company. So take a look at what you have. If you have a beautiful crystal vase and it's sitting in your china cabinet and you haven't used it for anything, well, take it out and fill it with fresh flowers. Oh my God, fresh flowers are the answer to everything. If you need some just to pick me up or whatever, get something out of your cupboard that you haven't used that you like. Go to Wegmans or Dashes or whatever if you don't want to spend a ton, and get some flowers and put them in a vase. Color adds everything, really.
Well, there you have it, my friends. Color has everything. You can give your space a space lift by calling Janelle. She did share her email, but if you're staying here listening, what we can do is share Janelle's email so that you can reach out to her. She can come to your home, do a space lift, or maybe you have an office or a home that needs a little bit more TLC. She'd be happy to give you some assistance in that direction. So Janelle Kurtzman, thanks so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Paula. Yep.
We love having you, love learning more about your business. And we could all use a little spiffing up in our lives for sure, right?
bet,
So thanks
you bet.
everybody. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We're so happy that you joined us again. Next week on our Monday Member Spotlight, we will have Ann Showers joining us, and Ann is going to be talking about, she's one of our new members, and she's going to be talking about her new business that she started with her husband. It is Check It Off Services, which is a handyman service. So that's kind of interesting too. It's really interesting. I know,
Really?
right? Oh, I'll have to tune in. Oh, wait a minute. I'll be here. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful week. Thanks again, Janelle. And God bless everyone.